Yes, and I will do that. But first, I must respond to the recent announcement by the junior senator from Missouri that he intends to contest the certified votes of the Electoral College when
Don't
Congress
even talk
meets
about
to
that,
count
you
those
dumb
votes
fuck.
next week. The process for electing American presidents is provided for in our Constitution and laws. The process has been followed fully, fairly. The results have been duly certified by the governors of the states, and they have been reviewed and confirmed by the courts many times over. The result is that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris won the election by overwhelming margins in both the popular vote and electoral vote. The Biden-Harris ticket received more than 81 million votes, more than any ticket in American history. That was over 7 million more votes than Trump-Pence. The Biden-Harris ticket won the Electoral College, 306-232, the very same total that President Trump called a landslide for himself then, just 4 years ago. Since the election process, President Trump and his acolytes have lost more than 50 lawsuits, falsely claiming fraud or other irregularities in the conduct of the 2020 election.
I mean, it was not a landslide.
Including the unanimous decision by the Supreme Court to dismiss a lawsuit brought by the Attorney General of Texas and more than half the Republican members of the House. And today we heard from the junior senator from Missouri that he intends to object to election results, particularly in Pennsylvania, a state where the Trump campaign and its allies have brought no fewer than 13 lawsuits and lost every single one, many with Republican judges ruling. There have been only 3 individuals, 3, charged with voter fraud in Pennsylvania, and in each case, the person voted for Trump. The effort by the sitting President of the United States to overturn the results is patently undemocratic. The effort by others to amplify and burnish his ludicrous claims of fraud is equally revolting. This is America. We have elections, we have results, we make arguments based on the fact and reason, not conspiracy and fantasy. On January 6th, the Congress will meet to formally recognize the Electoral College result. There is a very clear process to handle and dispense with objections from members of Congress to the counting of the result, and that's just what we'll do, dispense with them. The Congress will ratify the Electoral College's decision that Joe Biden will be president and Kamala Harris will be vice president on January 6th.
Dude!
And make no mistake about it, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be sworn in as president and vice president on January 20th. Now, let me return to the matters at hand. Today, the Senate will begin the process of overriding the president's veto on the annual defense bill. The House has already overridden the veto by a comfortable margin. I expect the Senate to follow suit and enact the NDAA into law over President Trump's evolving and ridiculous objections. Congress has passed the annual defense bill for 59 years in a row. It's an important opportunity to ensure our defense and security policies reflect the evolving challenges of our world and provide our service members and their families, as well as the Defense Department civilians, the support, resource, and training they need. The particular legislation includes a pay raise.
A genuine question why America's funding Pakistan. They are literally sheltering terrorists. What do you mean, brother? What? I understand why China's giving them aid. Is it India, but why America? Wait, what? The fuck do you mean, dude? Welcome. Like, first of all, America gives aid to every country that shelters terrorists and knows that those countries are sheltering terrorists and they don't give a fuck. Okay, so that's one thing. I mean, America's giving from the point of view of like America. Venezuela is a bunch of socialist terrorists. Why is America giving $130 million in aid to socialist Venezuela? Because they want to fucking. It's not real aid. It's soft power that will follow some hard power usually. Okay, they give aid to everyone because the military-industrial complex is basically a protection racket, and part of that is just like, you know, giving our allies and even our enemies, or at least our allies in foreign adversaries, money so they fucking do our bidding. America doesn't give a fuck that like they're funding terror. They're the biggest terrorists on the planet.
And let the chips fall where
terror, my friend, is good for business.
Measures. The defense override.
Like, Saudi Arabia is our fucking greatest ally in the Middle East.
Will both pass. But at the very least, the Senate deserves the opportunity for an up or down vote on increasing the individual payments to the American people.
Who isn't a terrorist in 2020? Like, there is very little.
For a vote on the House bill.
Bro, Kashmir is filled with terrorists and Pakistan is funding them? What do you mean Kashmir is filled with terrorists? You mean the Indian army that fucking took over the region and like cut out their fucking electricity? What is this? Kashmir is full of terrorist shit. What the fuck do you mean, dude? Who's doing the terror there? God damn, I got some hella Modi simps in here, I think. I don't know what's happening here. Listen, guys, like I got no love for Modi, okay? You can say I'm like anti-Indian if you want, but
to get to the American people the $2,000 checks they deserve and need is to pass the House bill and pass it now. The House is recessed for the year. Any modification or addition to the House bill cannot become law.
I'm not buying something went on behind the scenes. Call me a conspiracy theory all you want, but you literally believe in 69 genders and critical race theory?
Mistake.
People don't take any reviews.
Either the Senate takes up and passes the House.
I love that this is the take. First of all, his first point of view. If you hadn't said this like this, because this betrays this, okay? If you just started off with a people don't take your political views seriously, you sound like a junior high schooler stumbling over his words discussing politics. If you had never said, you know, something went on behind the scenes, brother, like, you know, maybe that's like, maybe you have more of an edge. But forward to the American people. But you immediately lose your edge when you.
Overwhelming bipartisan majority in the House supports the $2,000 checks. Senate Democrats strongly support these 2,000 checks. And our unlikely ally, President Trump, this morning tweeted 2,000 ASAP. For once, Democrats agree with something on President Trump's Twitter feed. Let's send $2,000 ASAP to working Americans who are facing the hardest and darkest days of the pandemic. After all the insanity that Senate Republicans have tolerated from President Trump, his attacks on the rule of law and independent judiciary, the conduct that led to his impeachment, is this where Senate Republicans are going to draw the line? $2,000 checks to the American people?
Okay, I can't, like, Chuck Schumer is like, he's so uncharismatic. I really wish that we had more charismatic politicians, like, straight up. I'm glad that the politicians on the Republican side are not charismatic, but also I fucking hate that, like, Democratic politicians are so fucking boring, too. Anyway, Tim Pool. Let's go to fun stuff. Tim Pool. I retweeted him yesterday. I didn't even talk about it on the show, but I like he posted this fucking photo. People are dying right now. Families are barred entry to the hospitals. Nurses and doctors are dancing on the grave of the dead while you can only watch from a distance. Comic credit to G Prime. I'll miss you, Dad. I only wish that I could have held your hand one last time. And then doctors are like dancing on the fucking, you know, dancing on top of like fucking people that are losing their relatives, right? So the doctor TikTok dances and the nurse TikTok dances are cringe. Okay? The whole like, but who gives a fuck? They're literally saving your hog fucking dad's life. Okay? Who cares that they're fucking cringe? I won? What did I win? Wait, what did I win? Call Nim? Okay. Think. The winner is you. I won the NIM Awards. What award did I win? Let's see if I can call him.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, sir? I don't
Oh,
think I can hear.
hello?
wait.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
What's
Hello.
up, dude?
Congratulations.
This is exciting. Oh, wait, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I
We
don't
can.
know. What did I win?
You won the best timing of the year. It's when you say that the horse Shimmer, I think, is the most important thing. And
Pog.
then it
Okay.
immediately dies. Oop.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
How did you recover from that experience, if you will?
I
How
recovered
did the rest
from
of your
I
Go ahead.
recovered from my so first of all, people don't know this, but I'm a horse girl. Like I
Right.
grew up riding horsies. I had a horsey
Really?
myself. Yes. And I am a horse girl. And yeah, I had a horse that passed away. R.I.P. Showgirl, or
I'm sorry.
Saljen, which was her Turkish name. And
What was it?
Saljen. Saljen. Well, it was the
Okay.
Turkish name of my horsey. And I was a professional show jumper when I was growing up. So I love horses. I'm a horse girl,
Okay.
and I'm a big fan. And I was talking about how the characters in The Last of Us 2 are like kind of mid. You know, they're not very compelling. Like they're not very exciting. I don't want to like defend
Right.
them at all.
Yeah, you don't care for him.
And I cared more about Shimmer, and I was doing my classic boomer, you know, trying to loot like literally every fucking far corner of the game type gameplay, which is
Okay.
incredibly compelling, and that's why everyone comes and watches me when I play video games. And talking about my thoughts on Shimmer, and then I jumped over a barricade, and Shimmer exploded, and then was executed.
Have you played Red Dead Redemption 2?
I did play Red Dead Redemption 2, yes.
Okay. How was the ending for you with you know which part I'm talking about without spoiling too much?
No,
Was that
I don't know, because I played
you
Red Dead Redemption 2 literally all the way to the ending, and I don't want to spoil anything, but you know how there's a turn towards the end, and I played it on stream, but there was a turn towards the end. After that, I got so bummed when that turn happened, because it's such a tiny proportion of the game in the beginning that I did not even want to participate in, that ends up making a massively consequential ending, you know? And I was so frustrated with it that I just like kind of stopped.
All right, chat. You know what, chat? You guys should have played this game years ago. So stop complaining about spoilers.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah. When Arthur gets tuberculosis, I play it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's an old game. When you find out that Arthur got tuberculosis and he is no longer, like, he's gonna literally die, I straight up was like, all right, fuck this.
Okay.
Like,
you know what? Let's change the topic. I recently finished Dark Souls 3. Basically, first tried Nameless King. How's that going for you, buddy?
you did not first try Nameless King. It's a fucking lie. It did not happen.
The first 10 tries, maybe.
Oh,
First
that
20.
did not happen. There's no way that happened. Did you actually
How many
kill?
tries was it, chat? It was less than 50.
What? Okay, that is ridiculous. Okay, that is
New Year's
literally
resolution next year, maybe finishing it. How does that sound?
I'm working on it. I am working on it. I'm working on. There's a lot of wonderful DS fans in the community, and they've made a bunch of walkthroughs for me to like kill the Nameless King. I will probably end up murdering Nameless King at some point.
Oh my goodness.
But right now I'm just addicted to Rust.
Oh right, yeah. Well, we're all counting on you for the Dark Souls stuff, and good luck in the Rust up. Is there anything else you want to, shout out before we let you go?
No, 2020 was a horrible year overall, but I'm glad that I got to share that experience with all of you guys, both in the chat and with all the other streamers on this platform. All we have in the end is one another. So that's what I got.
Very well put. Thank you, Hasan. Thank you for coming on. Happy
All right,
New Year.
thanks for having me, dude.
Bye.
All right, so I won. And for those of you who don't want to see or who haven't seen the clip, does anyone have it in the chat? We can watch it right now real quick. It was a little break from everything that's going on in the Senate, but Bernard's speaking, and we'll get to Bernard in a second. Oh, this is the famous clip. This is the clip that won. In Shimmer's well-being than Dina at this point. If Dina dies, I'm like, fuck it, who cares? I am such a horse girl. Oh my god. Literally, I am turning vegan right now. With the, like, I want to make sure that Shimmer is safe above all else. Always.
Get the other! Don't lose her! Go! No!
So that was the clip that won best timing of the year, and that was a hardcore. That was definitely a R.I.P. Shimmer, man. Gone too soon. You were timed out for one man's band. 12K Andy back then? Yeah, it's true. Why did you do this? Same reaction as that streamer that reacted to the bunny being killed in Last of Us? I know. That's part of the reason why I think that timing stuck too, because this is great. The timing, that is literally Saljam, by the way, or Showgirl. What the hell was that relationship timeline video? Some fucking freak. Some like absolute fucking freak. I think like I'm not entirely certain. I clicked on it once and I was like, nope, I'm not watching this. This is a broken brain. This is someone with a broken brain. I don't even want to fucking see it. But someone took all of my clips of like me ever mentioning Pokimane ever. And I think they like are saying that we're in a relationship or something. I don't know. It's psychotic. I think that's the clip I found you from, lol. That one, or Hassan, your live stop cooming clip are my favorite. You are dating her, though? You are dating her, though? No, I am not dating her, though. Pat Toomey live on the floor. Oh fuck, we missed the homie Bernard.
Earlier this year have regained their jobs. So we're not finished yet.
But
that's a huge step along the way. And now we're being told, after passing another extraordinary bill, this one almost $1 trillion, and including $600 per person, that's not enough. We need to do $2,000 per person, despite the fact that we know for sure, we know for a fact, that the large majority of those checks are going to go to people who had no lost income. How does that make any sense at all, Mr. President? We know for sure that the majority of these people had no lost income. They didn't lose their jobs. And yet we're going to send them not $600, not the $1,200.
Rust time is coming up soon, brother man. It's coming soon. Don't worry. Don't you worry. I got to give the politics. I got to give the politics frogs a little bit of their meat though, and potatoes, like especially because this is a big deal.
Maybe they work for a large company, the vast majority of which did not have large numbers of layoffs. So this two-child, two-income couple that makes 6 figures had no interruption, no diminishment of their income whatsoever. They're going to get $8,000 of money we don't have that is going to be either borrowed or printed. That's what it's all going to come down to. Mr. President, there are people who are still suffering from the economic fallout of this terrible COVID crisis. There's no question about it. We know there are people who are concentrated in a handful of industry for the most part, not exclusively, but people who have worked in the restaurant industry, people who worked for hotels.
The funniest part is like people that have made more money and like accidentally get the 2K clips are literally 2K clips, 2K checks are going to pay it back in their taxes. And you can literally advocate for a way to retroactively, or not retroactively, but like in a way to get the fucking money back from people who do not spend it. Like, this is a way that you can do this. It's called a fucking additional extra tax in the end of the year. That's it. That's literally it, dude. That's it. It's so dumb.
Money on top of whatever their state program is. $600 per person, regardless of whether they lost income. All of that was passed just a few days ago. And now we're told we need to come back immediately right now and make sure that we're sending $2,000 checks to people who had no lost income. So for that reason, Mr. President, I object.
It's so funny. Like, this is basically a tax cut, dude. This is basically a tax credit, okay? This is our money. This is your money, okay? The $2,000 is your money. The government has no money without you, okay? So just make no mistake. So the motherfucking party that literally constantly fucking talks about how the wealthy need to have their taxes cut doesn't matter because their job creators are now trying to stop poor people from getting $2,000 fucking dollars. They're trying to stop poor people from getting $2,000 because they think that, you know, they don't deserve it. They're using that as an example.
Crisis.
The rich people don't deserve it.
We have a moral crisis in this country. The United States government should be responding to the needs, to the desperation of families in our country at this time. There's a crisis of faith that the American people have in its government's ability to respond to human suffering. Well, this institution has been created to respond to human suffering. That's our job. Tony Fauci has made it very clear that the worst of the pandemic is ahead of us, not behind us. We know what's coming, and yet we are not responding. We know this is not going away soon, and yet we are not responding. A program, Operation Warp Speed, was created to create a vaccine. But because for 7 months the Republicans have refused to fund the public health system of our country at the state and local level, we have Operation Snail Speed to put the vaccinations in the arms of the American people. It was anticipatable. Tony Fauci and others were warning us back in May, in June, in July. There would be a second wave, and the second wave could be bigger.
More like Operation Snail
We got
Speed.
the warning. The Republicans refused to heed that warning.
Ahmed Maki.
And here we are
And
now
it's fucking
without
crazy,
the public health
dude.
infrastructure to deal with the overflow
Warp speed, more
capacity
like snail
in emergency
speed.
rooms and ICUs all across the country, while simultaneously asking those same medical institutions to put vaccinations in the arms of healthy people without the resources provided by the federal government to help those states and local communities to deal with that crisis. Sometimes Daniel Patrick Moynihan would say that when you deal with an issue, you deal with it with benign neglect. If you don't want to help or you don't want to hurt, deal with benign neglect. What's happened with the Republicans this year is that they've created a program which is designed neglect. It's an actual plan not to provide the funding, not to provide the help.
Most of your accents
For
are
those
chef's
families,
kiss, but the Bostonian
for
needs
those communities,
work.
for those
My
institutions
Bostonian is usually
that are now
just
being overwhelmed and asked on top of that to put this extra burden of putting vaccinations in people's arms, but without the extra resources.
my
what do
Bostonian
they
is
do?
just Bill
On
Burr,
the
but
Republican side,
also
they
part of the
throw
reason
out
why I can't do a Boston accent is because I'm so used to just saying the Q word when I do like a Bostonian accent that like I need to like
central issue.
I was so used
or
to just
no,
saying that I feel
up
like
or
it's
down,
unacceptable and
Will
inappropriate.
you provide
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Every Bostonian says that. Like, it's the first thing that you think of.
Tony Fauci is saying will be
No, it's actually not a pejorative if you use it in the appropriate context.
Yes and
Queer
no,
is what I'm talking
up
about.
and down, where do they stand on this issue?
Which is
Here's what we
but
do know.
when a Bostonian person says it, it's always a
Republicans
pejorative.
seem more focused on funding the Defense Department than they do
and then
the
wicked.
defenseless
Have it.
in our country. And Americans are becoming more defenseless as each day goes by. The headlines are screaming that this panic that is absolutely understandable and based upon fact is sweeping our country. There is protection which the federal government should be providing.
Pack the cat
to
to have it, yeah,
inherit.
dude.
They're hungry. They could be without their homes. The addiction crisis is rising. They need help in their families. So from my perspective, we have a moment in time. And Donald Trump happens to agree with us, even a broken clock is right twice a day. And we do agree with him.
True, dude.
He is right.
He's fucking right,
We
dude.
do need this help, which we
Even a
should
broken
be
clock,
providing to
dude.
these
Hold on.
families. And as we watch more and more of our American loved ones fall sick and die, families are facing a new and unprecedented hardship. They're having to make impossible decisions to whether to put food on the table or keep the heat on through the cold winter months. And the United States government has an obligation to help working people who, through no fault of their own, are seeing all of the things that they care about, all of the success that they have worked for, and all the financial security they have earned be washed away. And yet the Republicans want to put another Operation Snail Speed in place. The damage to these families is anticipatable. We can see what is unfolding. Dr. Fauci is telling us we're at the worst part of the pandemic and it's going to continue. So let us act in anticipation. Louis Pasteur used to say,
Okay, well, I'm gonna watch the Bernie. Okay, I'm gonna watch the Bernie speech because I want to run through this. All right.
We have just passed the largest military budget in the history of our country.
Is that Warren Gunnels, or is that how you say it?
$740 billion.
Oh, this is from yesterday. We already saw this. I thought this was the Bernie part. Okay. Come to New Hampshire, son. I'll show you around the state. That's the first and primary. Yeah, I know. It's a big deal. Okay. So, the Bernie tweet slideshow, yeah, he had a bunch of fucking big tweets.
Serve a $2,000 check. And as Senator Schumer just indicated, we have a very unlikely ally in President Trump. There ain't nobody here who has disagreed with Trump more times than I have. And yet here is what the leader of the Republican Party says. He says $2,000 ASAP. So deserve help.
ASAP. That is as soon as penis. A huge tweet from Donald Trump. I screenshotted this. I asked my grandson, I said, grandson Sanders, screenshot this tweet for me. It is huge. Okay. Look, they're talking about the same shit over and over again. It's the same stuff that we talked about yesterday.
Say, quote.
The difference is that Bernie's asked for a unanimous consent vote on the Cash Act on NDA tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Pat Toomey, who has protested so hard he won't run for office again, objects.
With that, I will now go to Senate legalese and say, quote, I ask unanimous consent that at 11:30 a.m. on Thursday, December 31st, the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of H.R. 9051 to provide a $2,000 direct payment to the working class, that the bill be considered, read a third time, and the Senate vote on passage of the bill without intervening action or debate.
Because remember, when you add additional stuff to this bill, as Mitch McConnell's trying to do, and it's not a straight 2K, it's not a straight 2K stimmy, then all of a sudden it's going to go back to the Congress, or back to the House, sorry. And now they have to deliberate on there, and they have to vote on it there as well. So that's why it is a purposeful poison pill. Like that's the reason.
Further, that if passed, the motion to reconsider be considered, made, and laid upon the table. Further, that immediately following the vote on H.R. 9051, the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of the veto message on H.R. 6395, that the Senate immediately vote on passage of the bill, the objections of the President to the contrary notwithstanding, with no intervening action or debate.
Is there objection?
Mr. President.
The Senator for Pennsylvania.
Mr. President, reserving the right to object.
They're just so bad. Like, they're just such scumbags, dude. Are they trying to delay until the runoffs are over? No. There is no... The only reason why this is even being discussed is because Bernie and Chuck Schumer and the Democratic Party very craftily made it annoying for Republicans. Like, that's it. They are currently using... They're currently using this as an opportunity. Like, this would not even be a matter of consideration if it wasn't for the second gift that Donald Trump gave everybody, which was vetoing the NDAA for, idiotic reasons like, I want white supremacists to remain as names on American military bases, and I want Section 230, which is unrelated to this, to be repealed. So he vetoed the NDAA, and when he did that, well, then you have to override that veto by vote, right? And there is already enough, like there's a veto-proof majority in the Senate, and there's a veto-proof majority in Congress to override that veto, except right now there isn't, because Bernie and congressional Democrats in the Senate are saying, we're not going to fucking vote for it. Or enough people are saying, we're not going to vote for it until you vote for the 2K stimmy. Okay? So he is currently using this as an opportunity. The must-pass NDAA veto override bill, or the must-pass NDAA veto override vote, he's using that as an opportunity to draw more attention to the 2K stimmy bill, Cash Act. And that's the only reason why we're talking about it to begin with. And it's a good thing that we're talking about it. That's why I'm still talking about it instead of fucking playing Rust, even though I want to play Rust right now. Because it's an important issue to talk about. Even if you don't get the 2K immediately, this is at the center of the Georgia congressional race right now. This story is at the heart of that race. This policy is the heart of that race. That's why David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, who otherwise would never give the fucking disgusting unwashed masses $2,000. They wouldn't even give them $600 if they had it their way. That's precisely why we're even having this conversation, and they're on board with it. Anyway, will college students that are dependents, cough, myself, be receiving either 600 or 2,000? If the 600 stays, then no. If you get the 2,000, then yes. The 2,000 Cash Act also adds, no, that's not true. The 2,000 Cash Act literally adds dependents onto it. You thought that was fake? I thought that it did. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. Unfortunately, I didn't read further into it this morning, but I think I'm right. But oh, Mitch took it out. Wait, that doesn't matter that Mitch took it out. The cash. The Cash Act as it stands is what we're talking about. The first stimmy check did not. The text of the amendment doesn't say anything. It's pretty short. Anyway, I just saw some random Twitter thing about it, so I discounted it as fake. Don't listen to me, law. I don't know. I might have. It's still 16 plus though. I might be wrong about it, even being 16 plus. McConnell's trying to tie the 2K vote to voter fraud investigation and repealing 230 now. Yeah, I know that. Even my MAGA family members agree on the 2K. The issue has been great at pulling the veil off how evil the GOP is. It's one of the few issues I've seen that most Americans agree with. I mean, there's a bunch of issues that most Americans agree with if you talk to them. Look how Greek did your boy just now.
Look at him. Yep. Dip. Yes, dip it. Right. Do we have anything to harvest his body?
No.
Look at him.
No.
Yep. Dip. Yes, dip it. Right. Do we have anything?
No, that's my boy, dude. He's dying out here. Where were you? I should. Fuck. Okay, I'll come soon. I will avenge. What was the political calculus Mitch is working out here? Why delay the vote? Who is this for? Mitch McConnell just does not want to give poor people money. That goes against the long-standing Republican ideology that the government can't do anything good for you. The government can only do bad things for you. And giving money to people that deserve it and people that desperately need it is a good thing. You can't do that because then you literally build confidence in the government. And if you build confidence in the government, you can't starve the beast. Since the Reagan era, the Republican Party's very successful ideological goals have been to starve the beast, undermine federal institutions, undermine the federal government, undermine the agencies from within, deregulate, help out big business as best as possible, deregulate sectors of the economy, and also then justify tax cuts for the wealthy, oftentimes, of course. So if you start giving people money, then people are going to expect more from their government, and they can't expect more from their government. They can never expect more from their government. The only reason why you even got the first fucking CARES Act, the $600 in unemployment insurance, for example, weekly, which was really good in comparison to the OECD nations that I've said a million times over. The only reason why I got that is because of the billions of dollars that corporations of the wealthy got. That's the only time where Mitch McConnell would just be like, yeah, all right, take it, poors here, take the fucking crumbs. Yeah. Because they're terrorists. They're literally like, they want to destroy America more than anyone else. You can say that's based or whatever, but like literally that's the truth.
Vermont or Kentucky. And let me just make it clear for the majority leader that 10 out of the poorest 25 counties in the United States of America are located in Kentucky. So maybe my colleague, the majority leader, might want to get on the phone and start talking to working families in Kentucky and find out how they feel about the
78% of the country is on board with this, by the way. Remember that. Trump is on board. 50 Republicans in the House of Representatives are on board. The entire Democratic Party is on board with like some exceptions, but fuck them, who gives a shit? They're bullshit. And Republican voters are on board. This is a majority of Republican voters and an overwhelming majority of Democratic voters. 78% of the country likes the 2K. And the people that are holding this, back is literally fucking Mitch McConnell and some Senate Republicans. And the only reason, they can... Wait, what? You are missing Durbin talking about actually voting for 2K checks and Corning adding a liability shield. Very fun, but also depressing. they are trying to add a liability shield onto it is another way to fuck over the bill itself. It's bullshit. Republicans are just asking for the liability shield now. Jesus Christ.
This is not a tsunami of lawsuits. I believe we can take reasonable measures to support and defend those corporations and companies which are making a good faith effort to comply with public health standards and protect their employees and customers. His bill, I'm afraid, goes way too far.
Mr. President,
The senator for Vermont.
Let me concur with my friend from Illinois on the issue. And I have a question for my colleague from Texas. Very simple question. You are concerned about the issue of corporate liability. I get that. I happen not to agree with you. You're entitled to your opinion. You may or may not be concerned about Section 230 of the 1996 Federal Telecommunications Bill. That's fine, too. We may have a discussion about how we protect American democracy. It's a good discussion as well. But I have the strong feeling, Senator Cornyn, that in Texas, as in Vermont, you know what? People are really not talking about corporate liability. It's a good issue. It's an important issue. I don't think they're talking about Section 230. What I think they are talking about, as the senator from Illinois just said, how they're going to feed their kids today. That is the issue. And what I would ask my friend from Texas is, what is your problem with allowing the Senate to vote on whether or not we are going to allow Americans, working class people, to get a $2,000 check? Now, I gather that when that vote comes to the floor, and I hope it comes immediately, you'll vote no. And you'll explain to the people of Texas why you voted that way. That's called democracy. I respect that. But what is your problem with allowing the Senate to have a freestanding vote? There are a number of people on your side, Republicans, who have already come forward and say, yeah, they want to vote for this $2,000 check. Now, if you want to deal with corporate liability, that's fine. Let's deal with it at some point. Bring forth a bill. We can vote on it up or down. All that we are asking for is a simple up or down vote on the issue that tens of millions of people are talking about right now. Will they survive economically in the midst of this terrible pandemic? So I ask my colleague from Texas, what is the problem with allowing the U.S. Senate to vote on the bill passed by the House? And I yield to my colleague from Texas.
Mr. President.
The senator for Texas.
Mr. President, I would say to our colleague from Vermont, I have no problem with providing assistance, whether it's to public health officials who are trying to struggle with this pandemic, or to provide money for the research for therapeutics or vaccine, which fortunately is now being distributed around the country. I have no objection to direct payments to individuals. I voted for the $1,200 direct payment contained in the CARES Act. I voted for the additional money that's provided for in the most recent COVID-19 legislation. But this legislation that the senator from Vermont is advocating would benefit households with annual income over $350,000. They would get this money. And I would say that one way to deal with this, because of course we negotiated back and forth on the last COVID-19 bill, nobody got everything they wanted, but if our colleagues on the other side of the aisle want an additional financial benefit to people making up
I don't know how that. I don't think that's true. Wait, am I wrong? I don't think that's true at all. And at the very, if that's the maximum, if that's the literal fucking maximum, the amount of money that they're gonna get is like $1. Like he's referencing literally $0.
Every business that's
If
worried
that's
that a game of gotcha is going to take
if that's
place,
the fucking highest percentage, if that is like the highest max,
even if they win the lawsuit,
because the 2K is for 75,000, and then it adjusts to your wealth. I don't even have a problem with it, but
The senator from Texas has the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
so clearly our colleagues
$2,000 checks you get up to 115,000. Oh, okay.
being able to bring
Double this for married filing jointly. It's somewhat less filing. Okay, yeah.
struggle dealing with the evolving
Yeah.
public health guidance provided by the CDC.
Are you playing Rust again? Yeah, I'm gonna be playing soon.
If they're not interested in engaging in a negotiation where people who, through no fault of their own,
For 1,200 checks, that meant you got some dollars up to 99. For the 600 checks, you get up to 87,000. You get some dollars. For $2,000 checks, you get up to 115. So
President,
yeah, if you have
Senator,
$230,000 in annual household income, you don't get the full 2K.
You understood that my
That's the
friend from
highest. That's
Texas
the
did not
top.
answer my question. He has the concern about corporate liability. It's a legitimate debate. You know what? Bring it to the floor. Let's vote it up or down. I will vote against it. You will vote for it. But I asked you a very simple question, not linking things together. Nobody in the real world understands that stuff. That's inside the Beltway stuff. What people
You get
in the
fucking
real world
$5.
know,
Like,
I want to take a moment.
it's so dishonest.
read
You get
some of
like
these
$5 if you make 150,000. Okay,
because
or
we sent out, we have
$1.
a lot
You
of
literally get
people on our
$1.
social media, and we asked the American people. We just the other day we said, "Tell me, what would a $2,000 check mean to you? What's going on in your lives?" And in just over 24 hours, I would say to my friend from Texas, nearly 6,000 people responded. And here is just what a few of them had to say. And we don't have, this is Twitter stuff, so I don't have their names here, and I wouldn't use it publicly anyhow, but this is what they say. One person writes, $2,000 is the difference between keeping our apartment and being evicted. Here's another. $2,000 means I can afford to feed my 3 kids.
Read them, Bernie.
Another response, quote,
Read those tweets.
It would mean not having to choose between rent and groceries or not having to ration my partner's meds, end quote. Another response, quote, I am raising my grandson with medical needs. I am $4,000 behind on utilities. We need electricity to run his medical equipment, end quote. Here's another response. $2,000 would mean I wouldn't have to worry about making my mortgage payment this month and that I could get my medication, end quote. Another response, $2,000 would mean paying my rent and getting life-saving treatment because I can't afford the $50 copay through my work insurance just to see my neurologist right now, end of quote. And on and on and on. Thousands of people responding. So I want to get back to the point that I want to, again, ask my friend from Texas. You got a concern about corporate liability? Good issue. Bring it to the floor. Let's vote on corporate liability. I would yield for a question from my friend from Illinois.
Yield for a question through the chair. I've listened to the figures that have been used on the floor about families that could qualify for the $2,000. It's my understanding that an individual with an income of $75,000 or less could qualify for the $2,000 payment, and a joint return, husband and wife, $2,000 could be given to them if their income is under $150,000. Is that your understanding?
Understanding. And I think, you know, as Republicans do, they're going to, well, let it be. But I'll get back to my friend from Texas, Senator Cornyn. We're asking a simple question. You want to bring up corporate liability? Bring it up. You want to bring up Section 230? Bring it up. You want to bring up the man on the moon? Bring it up. But what the American people want now is an up or down vote. Now, you're going to vote against it if it comes to the floor. That's fine. It's your right. Explain it to the people of Texas. I will vote for it. But all that I am asking for is the right as a United States Senator to have the vote. And again, I ask you, what is your problem with members of the United States Senate, including a number of Republicans who have already indicated they would like to vote for this? What's your problem with bringing that up as a single standalone bill, not merged with corporate liability or anything else? What's your problem with that?
Mr. President.
Senator for Texas.
Mr. President, I would say to our colleague from Vermont, this money is not targeted to people who suffered financial losses. It is not targeted to people who suffered financial losses.
Dude, what a fucking piece of
Members
shit.
of your own staff,
Bro.
if they meet the financial requirements. Other government employees who've suffered no financial loss during this pandemic. We've all suffered in different ways during the pandemic, to be sure, but financially, this money is designed to help the people who need it the most. Why would you send money to government employees that have been receiving their full paycheck during this pandemic?
Oh my God.
That's a good question.
That's
and then
how
I
every
will have
program
to
works.
explain that to the people of the state of Vermont.
The Senator for Texas has the floor.
He asked me a question as I understood it.
The Senator for Texas.
John, did you ask me a question? Did I?
The Senator for Texas.
There was more of a rhetorical question, Mr. President.
The senator for Texas.
Oh my God,
President,
he
I wanted
did.
to come to the floor and talk about what strikes me as...
Oh, he's not allowed to fucking yield because he doesn't say I yield for a question for a senator from Vermont?
Only the day I
dude,
was born.
I hate
It's something
this.
I feel like
Greatest
we're living
deliberative
through here,
body on the planet, dude.
as we
These old
debate the
fucks,
same points over
yo,
and
this
over
shit is
and
so
over
bad.
again, forgetting what it is we've already done, the good things we've done together on a bipartisan basis. We've already appropriated roughly
fuck, it's
$4
top of the hour
trillion
every hour, it's 6
in
second ad
response
break.
to this pandemic, and it's appropriate that we have done so because this was a true public health crisis.
I'm hitting you with a
But now
fucking
this
ad
is,
break
we're
right
seeing-
now.
We're seeing politics creep back in an attempt to send money to people
If you'd
who
like to
suffered
watch
no
the stream with
financial
no
loss
ads
in an
whatsoever,
untargeted
you go to ad
and wasteful
blockers if you want to
sort of
use that.
way.
Or you can
These relief
subscribe.
packages that we passed
You can
together
subscribe for
provide hundreds
$5
of
or
billions
for
of dollars
free
to
with a Twitch
support our
Prime.
hospitals and
Here's the
healthcare
ad.
workers who are on the front lines. And I voted for it, and I think we were right to do so. We've thrown small businesses and their employees a lifeline through the Paycheck Protection Program, and we were right to do so. We've invested in research and development, manufacturing of therapeutics and vaccines that are currently being administered, thank goodness, throughout the country and indeed around the world. And we sent unprecedented assistance to workers, families, and individuals whose livelihoods have been upended by this crisis. Thanks to President Trump's leadership, Congress has stepped up and met this unprecedented challenge to deliver.
Republicans literally sound like Democrats who don't want to give you health care right now, and that's never a good fucking way to message.
A year ago, I would have voted this year alone
Not good.
for roughly $4 trillion worth of spending in this pandemic. I would not have believed you. But I do believe this is the domestic equivalent to World War II, where we have to do everything humanly possible to try to help our fellow man, woman, and
This motherfucker Republicans will do everything humanly possible to stop poor people from getting a fucking crumb, dude. A breadcrumb.
When
That's
President
it.
Trump signed
That's
a $900
literally it.
billion rescue package
the real
into
reason
law.
is they
Well, I'm
will
glad
die.
Congress was able to
This
send
old
more relief
fuck
out the door at
would
the end of the year.
literally
I'm
die before he
disappointed
lets
that it
one
took so
poor
long to
person
do
see
so.
$2,000.
It's
like I'd rather die.
amazing the sense of urgency our Democratic colleagues have today, since at least 3 times, maybe 4 times, they blocked our attempts to pass $500 billion relief bills during the course of the summer. In July, our colleagues introduced the HEALS Act, which would have provided just under $1 trillion in relief, covering the same types of policies included in the most recent relief bill: direct payments, unemployment benefits, funding for schools, vaccine, and a host of other priorities. Our Democratic colleagues not only complained about the bill, they called it weak, little, pathetic, and unserious. But they refused to engage in the sort of negotiations that are customary around here when you actually want to solve a problem, or consider anything short of the House's multi-trillion-dollar bill, which they knew had no chance of passing in the Senate because of things like tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires, which had nothing to do with COVID. So our Democratic colleagues dragged their feet. July, August, September, October.
I think the funniest part about like Republicans talking, maybe it's because like it is a gerontocracy, so like everyone is, you know, a gorillion years old. But the funniest part about it is like he acts like everyone has Alzheimer's and therefore will not remember when he was literally for the tax cuts or literally against all of the things that he's now taking credit for. Like, does he just assume that all of his colleagues have Alzheimer's and everyone in America just literally does not have the memory bank to remember when he was fucking against all the shit that he's taking credit for and he was for all the shit that he's criticizing, like tax cuts?
Expressed an interest in doing more. And I have no doubt that we will do more in this area. But Speaker Pelosi's bill goes far beyond what the president is talking about. For one, it would dramatically widen the pool of recipients, enabling wealthy households to qualify for relief checks. This is unacceptable and wasteful. When Congress provided the first round of direct payments through the CARES Act, we did so in a way that sent relief to the hardest hit Americans. Individuals who made up to $75,000 received the full $1,200. and the amount gradually declined as income increased and completely phased out at $99,000. We kept the same formula for the $600 payments provided for under the omnibus and further targeted the relief. Once again, those who made up to $75,000 will receive the full amount, and the amount phases out completely at $87,000. Under the CARES Act, a family of 4 earning up to $150,000 received $3,400. In the most recent rescue bill, the same family would receive an additional $2,400. This was the most effective and targeted way to ensure that assistance goes to those who actually need it.
Bitch, this is the same.
Sending taxpayer dollars, borrowed, I might add, to those who don't.
This is literally the same. It's just extended a little bit on top of it. It's like lightly extended.
Didn't have a similar structure to keep these payments targeted. Let me give you an example. If this bill were to become law, a person making $100,000 a year would receive a $750 check from the federal government, whether or not they lost income during the pandemic. This isn't someone who used to make.
Apparently, there's a blue slip issue. Bills that affect the IRS revenue can't originate in the Senate for McConnell's version of the bill. So even if the Democrats accepted that version, it couldn't legally pass the House. Also, 230 is a part of the USMCA trade agreement, so it couldn't even be straight repealed. So, of course, McConnell has just proposed a bill which can't even legally pass. Yeah, well, I'm not entirely familiar with like the repeal of Section 230, but it doesn't matter. None of this matters. That's why they're trying to go with a clean Cash Act, and that's why Bernie doesn't even argue against like, oh, these people will get more money. These people don't deserve it. Like, he's not even talking about that shit because it doesn't matter. This is an argument that needs to be centered around: are we going with a clean 2K or not? Because if there's no clean 2K, it's not going to pass. And that's precisely why McConnell added all of those other provisions onto it. Why do the Republicans act like this money's coming out of their bank accounts? To top this off, this piece of shit managed to ruin brisket, his family recipe for it. Oh yeah, dude, I saw. This is perhaps the worst thing that John Cornyn has done this year. Like, he could have literally personally killed like he could personally have killed like an orphan child, and it would be like the equivalent of this brisket, a family tradition brisket. Yo, automatically, dude, you're done. Like, you do this, you're out. Okay, you are no longer considered a real American. Your American card is revoked. You can no longer be a senator. What the fuck did he put on it? Like salsa? It looks like fucking tomato paste or some shit. It literally looks as dry as Ben Shapiro's wife's pussy, dude. How do you fuck a brisket up so grossly? And he's like, well, it's dry, so I gotta put fucking ketchup on it. God damn, dude. Sahara Desert pussy Andy over here. This is disgusting. This is like if you're from fucking Texas, okay? If you're from Texas and you see a man make a brisket like this, how the fuck does Hank Hill, the mythical Texan, the only Texan I know, the only Texan I care about, how does any man from Arlen ever vote for a motherfucker that makes a brisket like that? I bet it's not on propane either. I bet he didn't even use propane to make that. That's bullshit, dude. This looks like an Italian man made this brisket, okay? An Italian man from New York came down to Texas and was like, oh, how you guys doing over here? Is this how you do a fucking brisket? Hey, how you doing? And then fucking sauced it up. I'm gonna put sauce on it, salsa. Look at this. What is this? Okay, that one I don't have as much of a disagreement with. That could be kind of delicious, depending on. But I mean, this is a war crime. Like, that one, you know, I don't know if it's like terrible or not, but this is a war crime. This is mid war crime, mid literally fucking like, you know, phosphorus on civilians.